What's going on, everybody? I hope you're enjoying your Monday morning so far. This is NYG JeffyT85 here, and I'm going to talk about some of the rumors that are breaking early for the Brooklyn Nets as they officially began their offseason after getting swept by the Philadelphia 76ers this past weekend as they went down 4-0 after that tough Game 4 loss without Joel Embiid. And now the Nets are getting ready to see what they might do during this offseason. And one of the biggest trade targets that the Nets have been linked to because of when he showed up at Game 3 at BarclaysCenter is one of the top players in the NBA and longtime Portland Trailblazers point guard Damian Lillard, who's been in the league all the way back since 2008 when he was drafted, and back in 2012 actually, when he was drafted in the first round with pick number 6 overall by the Portland Trailblazers all the way back in 2012, and he's been in the NBA for at least about 12 seasons. And the 32-year-old point guard has been linked to the Brooklyn Nets since this offseason has kicked off. But first off, before I get to that, right now when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets in terms of their internal roster, most rivals feel that they will not trade Mikal Bridges, but they might be inclined to trade either Dorian Finney-Smith or Royce O'Neal. Now, according to Mike Scotto of Hoops Hype, this is what he had to say about the situation with Mikal Bridges and, of course, Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal. Right now, while most rival executives around the league are convinced that Mikal Bridges isn't going anywhere, why would the Nets trade Mikal Bridges at this point? They traded Kevin Durant for this kid. Why would the Nets give up on him when he's easily the best player on this team and he's the central figure of this basketball team going into forward? But there is belief the Nets could break up their surplus of wing depth, which they should because they have too much wings on this team and they don't have enough front court players. They would be interested in potentially trading one of their wing depth players like a Dorian Finney-Smith or a Royce O'Neal. It's no surprise, though, that the Nets would want to hold on to Bridges. It makes sense because in 27 games, Bridges averaged 26 points, 5 rebounds, and he averaged 3 assists plus a steal per contest, and he shot 48% from the field, and he shot 38% from the three-point line. He's a guy that's been thriving in a bigger role since he was traded away from the Phoenix Suns in exchange for Kevin Durant because he doesn't have Devin Booker, Chris Paul, or DeAndre Ayton there. And the 26-year-old is one of those players on the Brooklyn Nets roster who showed flashes of star upside. And if the Nets go shopping for a superstar, Bridges is the sort of player that can pretty much be a great number 2 option, which is exactly what the Nets should be doing. And that's going to lead into my point of what the team could do in terms of Damian Lillard or even a Bradley Beal. Because I believe Bridges is a very good player in the NBA. I think he really showed signs of an emerging young player coming into his own this past time with the Brooklyn Nets. And he was even starting to do that with the Phoenix Suns. But at the same time, I think what's held him back is because of the fact right now is that Bridges, I think he needs another great player around him. And a lot of it also could do with what the Brooklyn Nets are going to do with Cam Johnson, who is also a restricted free agent going into this offseason. But could I see them potentially dangling one of these guys and maybe a couple of first-round picks? And maybe you even dangle Ben Simmons, who right now reportedly is not expected to undergo a second back surgery this offseason, which is good news to hear because if you want to see if you can either get Ben Simmons back, rehab his trade value, and then maybe if he plays well enough, you could look to trade him during the trade deadline. Or if he's not going to undergo any back surgery, maybe you could tie him up with another good player and a draft picks, and you can use him in a potential trade for a superstar. So you don't know. But in terms of what I was going to be talking about earlier, I'm going to get to the reason why the Nets might be interested in doing what they're doing because of the fact they might be interested in trading for Portland Trailblazers star Damian Lillard, who has been in the NBA overall for at least 12 seasons, with the Portland Trailblazers, all 12 of those seasons with the Portland Trailblazers. And over his career, he's played in 769 games where he's averaged 25 points overall with an average of about 4 rebounds per game. He averages about 7 assists. He shot a career total of 44% overall from the court. He shoots at least about 37% from the three-point line. He's a career 90% free throw shooter overall. And last year, he actually had an incredible season with the Portland Trailblazers, albeit he ended up missing some games towards the end of the season. He did play in 58 games overall, scoring 32 points per game. He did have a total of 5 rebounds per game and 7 assists. He shot 46% from the court. He shot 37% from the three-point line, and he shot 91% from the free throw line. We all know what Damian Lillard is. We all know how good Damian Lillard is as a player in the NBA, and just the fact of what he could do for the Brooklyn Nets, if you could find a way to acquire him through trade during the NBA offseason, it would be such a major boost for this Brooklyn Nets team if you could make that happen. And also for the fact he was at BarclaysCenter during Game 3, so obviously Sean Marks and the Nets have an eye on that, and they're going to be looking to see, with Sean Marks most likely on the hot seat, Damian Lillard could be a guy that the Nets could be looking to target and adding as a superstar to go with Mikal Bridges, and then you have yourself a pretty good number 1 and 2 option at the point guard and at the small forward position. And that could be somebody like you could either take a player like Spencer Dinwiddie, and you could either make him the shooting guard on the team, or you can dangle Spencer Dinwiddie in a potential trade, and you could trade him away for Damian Lillard. We'll have to see what the Nets are going to do. Maybe it could help a guy like Dinwiddie. If you don't trade him, you could make him the off guard, or you could put him on the second unit and have him be that key second unit player coming off the bench. Either way, I think it's going to make Dinwiddie even more of a better player. I think if he's the second player, the second guard, or the shooting guard on the team, you have Bridges play small forward. You could have Johnson be able to play in some of the bigger lineups, and then obviously you have Claxton playing at the center position. You have Lillard at point guard. So it makes your lineup a little bit more dynamic overall if you decide to go that route. But Damian Lillard would be an excellent addition to the Brooklyn Nets if they can make it happen. Of course, you worry about the fact he's 32, going to be 33 years old later on. You have to worry about his injury history. He is a player that ends up getting hurt a lot. But obviously, when it comes to his production, you can tell he's not really tailed off at all because of the fact he had a 32 point he averaged 32 points per game overall last season. So obviously, he's still going nowhere in terms of his type of production that he's been able to put out there for the Portland Trailblazers, which is an absolute great sign to see. So obviously you don't have to worry about that at all going forward. Either way, we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen this offseason. It's going to be a very offseason for the Brooklyn Nets. I think they're going to have to make some type of moves because of the fact the general manager is on the hot seat, and this team is still in position where if they can make a move or two, this team could be right back in it, in the thick of things, as being one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference and in the NBA going forward. So we'll have to wait and see what the Nets are going to do. But either way, just want to break that news down about the Nets potentially being linked to Portland Trailblazers point guard Damian Lillard, who of course 6-time All-NBA player, 7-time All-Star, 2012-2013 Rookie of the Year, is an NBA 75th anniversary team player, and of course he was the Rookie of the Year back in 2012 and 2013. We'll have to wait and see what the Brooklyn Nets are going to do this offseason. But hit that like button if you haven't already, and give a sub to NYG Jeffy T85. More news, updates, and chatter surrounding the Brooklyn Nets. Turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the Brooklyn Nets. And you guys let me know in the comment section what you think about the Brooklyn Nets having any type of ties, and if they should potentially make a blockbuster trade for Portland Trailblazers longtime point guard, all-star point guard, Damian Lillard this offseason, and the type of impact he could make for the Brooklyn Nets if they trade for him this offseason going into the 2023-2024 NBA season. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Take it easy, and let's go Brooklyn Nets. As always, it's a Nets world, and we're all just living in it.